Wow. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. Mnaniona? Today I want us to continue where we reached yesterday. So what is our subject? How do we call it? My name is Juvinaries Kyalo. I'm the founder of Streetnizers ministry. And besides that, I grew up in the village, as many of us have done. And when I came to the city, I had the desire and the passion in air industry, but I didn't know how to start. Sooner did I know, I got somebody who introduced me to the industry, and I joined hairdressing many years ago when there was no men's stylist, and I started doing the hair. And because I'm a very persistent and a consistent person, when I started doing the hairdressing, I became a passionate person and started reading magazines, wanting to know what is happening in the whole industry of hairdressing. And I became one of the best hairdressers in the city by that time. I remember even styling the governor of Kitui, Charutingilu, in a salon in Westlands. And I remember giving me a very good tip. I got very encouraged. I remember people like Caroline Mutoko when I was at Pivot Point working on her hair. I also remember Sophie Kenya, who is also, I think, still doing broadcasting. And many people like Nameless and the wife have been their stylists for so many years. And after becoming celebrity hairstylist in the whole of Nairobi, time came. I was like, I have touched who is who. I have done hairdressing. I have done hair to who is who in the country. So I felt like nimefika. You know the way you do something and you feel like umefika. Now that feeling of nimefika, I got married. When I got married, I thought, because I'm a celebrity stylist, I'm the best in town, I'm the one who is teaching what is coming, I'm the one who is starting all the hairstyles in the city, I've got a wife. Yeah, I thought nimefika. But things turned around. I remember I was doing Nameless's hair in the salon. I had a discussion on a radio. And hearing a discussion on the radio, I took my phone and I called the radio station. There were some boys who had come from the streets. So when I called, I found the person who was speaking to the boys is one of my clients. That was Tina Nzuki. Then we talked like we know each other. Then from there, we connected with the boys, and now that was the birthing of this great commission of Streetnizers. Now, if you don't plan, you will do what? Sema, you will fail. How many people want to fail? There is this mentality of when people leave the village place, they come to Nairobi, there is work, there is jobs, they come for greener pastures, not realizing grass is not green over there. So when I came to the city, I got myself into drug abuse. I got to, of course, peer pressure. I got boys who were very sharper than me because I'm coming from the village. So I started taking alcohol. Alcohol graduated. I started taking bank. That graduated up to a point whereby I started taking the cheap liquor like changa. We know them by the names. And then I wouldn't say fate, but I found myself in the streets. Now, finding myself in the streets, who do you associate with? I started associating myself with those who are in the streets. Those are the street boys. But I was a smart one because I was a clean boy. You couldn't tell, so they are there. I was a smart one. I used to take a shower, so I could come to the city, do all manner of things, then go back to where we used to live with my mother. But she didn't used to know all that. And also she didn't used to know that I'm taking drugs. So time came up when I had to leave her and become very addicted in drugs. And I worked in drugs for about 8-7 years. If I tell people like that, they don't really believe. 8-7 years abusing drugs, and a very smart street boy, if I would call myself like that, because I didn't take gum or the other kamusi, but I took all these other drugs. Then a lady who was passing by, I remember this place whereby there's Tuskies. A lady was passing by and she told me, you have something in you. You need to change your life. Then she asked me, what do you want to do? I just told her I want to be a hairstylist. I remember that lady picked me and then started introducing me now to hairdressing. She introduced me to somebody who taught me now the hairdressing. Now, this phone call, which came when I was hairdressing, Nameless, when it came, there were 3 boys who were coming from the streets. So these 3 boys, and I was once in the streets, my passion, my compassion fell unto them. And I called the radio station. I told Tina, you know what? Let those boys come and I'll do their hair. That's what I said, because I'm in the salon. Let them come after the radio station, I do their hair. Then Tina, after the station, I remember they were with the current MC Jesse. He's the one who was with the boys, and now the Tina and the 3 boys. So after they called me, I responded, I'm in this particular salon, let them come. But Tina told me before they come, they have been given some lunch at a restaurant. So you run to that restaurant, the boys will be brought by MC Jesse, now the current MC Jesse, who is of Churchill. Then MC Jesse brought the boys, I looked at them, I saw myself when the boys came, because they were dirty, they were abusing drugs, so I saw myself in that picture. So as they were taking lunch, the question was in my mind, now if I go to the salon with these boys who are dirty, I cut their hair, where will I get them? Because I promised to cut their hair for about 1 year. So that question of I'll cut their hair, then what next? That is what now propelled me to now continue. Now, MC Jesse brought a list of the people who had already called. People had called to support the boys, because the boys wanted to come out of the street. So guess who the list was given to? I was given the list by MC Jesse. So myself and MC Jesse, we started talking. How do we help these boys? How do we do it? How do we start it? Then it's like the way you plant a seed, then it starts growing. Then you look at it, then you start preventing the seed from being eaten probably by a goat. So I started there, and then I called my workplace. I'm not going back to the salon. I'll see what I can do with these boys, because there is a particular person who had said she'll pay rent for 6 months for the boys. And then another friend of mine who knew me had also called to give 3 mattresses and 3 blankets. So because I knew the person, I took it as my initiative to go with the boys, take the blankets and the bed sheets, and take the money from the person who had called to give them money and pay rent. So we went, took a house that afternoon now. It's around 3 o'clock. Got a small house at a place called Kangemi with MC Jesse, because he knew the place. Then paid the rent for about 2 months and kept the 3 boys in that room. Did I cut their hair? No. What did I do? I kept them in the house. So the following day, that was now 2005, June 17th, I went again to the same house. I found the boys, I bought some food for them, and then the clothes that I had from my house, I brought to them. Then I started telling the boys, you know what, boys, you can stay here. We look for you to a way of getting something from you. And then that thing started burning in me. You can make a difference. Somebody picked you from the streets. You are who you are right now. These are 3 young men. You can do something. Now, remember, I grew up from the village. So did I grow up with a father figure? No. I grew without a father figure. And because I had already grown from the street life now to a key hairstylist, I decided, can I be a father figure to these 3 boys? And from the 3 boys, they became 5. They became 10. Then I didn't know whether these 3 boys were very key boys in the streets. So whenever they bathed after some time, I went with them to the streets of Nairobi. Then when we were walking together, other boys could look at them and say, wow, look at so-and-so, look at so-and-so, look at so-and-so. We want to be like them. So they started calling me Odijo. So the boys I had gave me a name. So they started saying, our Odijo anatufanyia hivi na hivi. Anatubaia nguo, anatupatia chakula, na tunakaa vizuri. So they started encouraging the others. And I was like, what? 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, 4 months down the line, they started pulling their friends. No sooner did I know, great work has begun. Streetnizers began 2005. So from 2005, I was still a hairstylist. 2006, I was still a stylist. 2007, I was still a stylist. Until we grew so much, and I remember very well during the post-election, 2007-2008, I had already done the modalities of registering the program, and after registration, that 2007-2008, during the post-election, I don't know how people knew about us. We got so many young boys coming to the Streetnizers. When they came, there was a particular boy who had an issue from where he had come from. I remember he had come from Molo. I talked to somebody who highlighted that story on the media. So when the media saw it, people came, so many, even mothers, to the Streetnizers because we had already rented a small place. Then the Kenya Red Cross came in, gave us a lot of food to support the boys, because it was now boys only, but now we had mothers whom we had to look for an alternative because people came to support. Then my eyes got opened. I saw this thing that began 2005 with 3 boys has become a big place to host and to give at least encouragement to so many people. And I was like, wow, let me keep on doing this. So 2008, we grew from 3 boys to, of course, over 30 boys. And from 30 boys, it was a steady growth from 30 to 35 to 40. Then we kept on growing.
Nani ataka kujenga nyumba smart? Nani ataka kupanda ndege aende katembea mahali?
Now, 2012, I remember very well during the month of January, I was busy with the Streetnizers. I'm busy in the salon, so I'm needed in all the 2 places. So I was contemplating, I have a family to feed. This is another family to feed. But here, my clients are supporting what I'm doing. They come, they give me money, I buy food. On the same note, they also need me to do their hair. So I had to make a decision. Now, which decision did I do? I had to pray about it and listen, because I realized this work I'm doing is not my work. There is a greater power than what I'm doing. So when I prayed about it, I had my inner self telling me, you will leave hairdressing and pursue the Streetnizers. 2012, during the month of August, I had to resign and I left hairdressing. All my clients, some of them, I started going to their houses to do their hair. I remember a friend of mine, let me call her a friend of mine today, Mother Karuen, and the judge of the High Court, Mother Koome, were asking me, if you go, who will be doing our hair? And I said, because I've been training so many people in the industry, I will refer you. It was very scaring because 2012, money disappeared. I don't know where money went. I lost clients, I lost everything. We got auctioneers taking our house possessions as a family because I didn't have money to pay for the rent. I didn't have money to pay for the rent for the Streetnizers where they were. And things became so thick because it was a risk which I took. But one thing I did, I focused on doing what I had. 2012, we were about 45 young men, 45. That was a very big number. I would say it's a very big number by that time because we needed food, we needed beddings, we needed education. It was quite a challenge. But thank God, because when I was in the industry of hairdressing, I was very compassionate. There are so many people whom I used to assist and to help. And also my clients whom I used to do their hair. I kept that network. Up to today, there are so many of them who support what I do up to now. If you look at the word Streetnizers, it's come from the word street. Nice is a word that we worked with MC just because I would say that I'm a good person in English and I used to love biscuits that are called nice. So if you look at the word nice, is a N-I-Z-E. So I told Jess, you know what, because we are making these boys from the street to be nice, let's say change the C to Z so that it can have the sounding word of Streetnizers. So that's how boys from the streets. And also from the streets, not necessarily somebody who is in the streets. It's a mindset. I realized it is not somebody who is in the streets. It's a mindset. So I thought if we work with the mindset of these young people who are in need of something, that is streetnizing them, making them think better for themselves, making them think positive for themselves. That's how the word came up at Streetnizers Ministry. So you pick boys who are in need. Some are from the streets. Others come from families that are broken up, families that they don't have a father figure, families whereby they don't have food, some families whereby they need education. So those are some of the things that contain the Streetnizers. There are so many young people who are very talented. They need somebody who can teach them, who can train them on their talents. There are so many young people who are very bright, but they cannot get somebody to access them to education. So those are some of the things that we are doing as Streetnizers. Don't forget, it is a program that began way back in the year 2000. There was no modalities by that time, but as time goes on, even as you were doing this interview, you didn't start the way you are right now. You've kept on growing. So you allow yourself to grow. So from 2005 all the way to 2012, I had gone through so many things. I had met so many things. I've met so many people. So I grew. And also, one thing I've kept doing from that time, I've kept reading and reading and reading. Now, why reading? Because everything you need is in information. It is in books. I've kept looking at people, reading people, like searching people like Dr. Wale Akiemi. Who is he? What does he do? When I get a profile of him and what he does, I get to know more about him. Looking at people like now, like the KTN program, I watch, I learn, I get to meet people like a program for like someone like Timothy Otieno. I get to know why is he doing this. I research, I read, and by doing so, I've grown my muscles to get the information that is needed. I've also got to the government systems to know what should I do and what should I not do, because you also have to work with the government. And getting to the government and to the people who have information, I have grown to know this should be done like this. You need to have a board of management. You need to have this. You need to have staff. You need to have boys doing this and this and that. So there is that learning experience, which many of us don't want to do, but I've been learning.
Go. Yeah, dancers.
I would say I give them the full support because they look at me as their father. They look at me as their mzee, as their mentor. And also, I don't work like I'm working as alone. I have put it as a collective responsibility to them and also to their guardians, because at the end of the day, what we do is we do rescue, we rehabilitate where we are able to do by the grace of God, then we do reintegration. Reintegration is whereby we involve their guardians, because most of these young men have their people back at home. We call them, we take them back home, and also we do re-socialization. Re-socialization is whereby we take them in different places so that they can socialize. So that is 4R. You rescue, you rehabilitate where possible, you educate, you give food, you stay with the boy, you learn the characteristics of this person, the integrity of this person, the knowledge of this person, then you reintegrate, you return them back to the community, because we are not meant, as per the government rule, to stay with them for more than 2, 3, 4 years. At least you are supposed to leave them for a shorter period so that they can go back to the community. Now, like the first boy, the first 3 boys whom we met, one of them is a very good stylist right now. He took after me. He's a very good stylist. He was in the streets sniffing glue. Today, he's a boy with a family. Today, as I speak, he's now working. If you look at him, the way before and after, you cannot even fathom whether he's the same boy. 2, there are some boys who have gotten married. So I've seen a seed that has been rescued. They have become parents, they have become fathers, they have become husbands. That gives me fulfillment. 3, I've seen the boys who started with me 2007 all the way to today. Some of them went to university, they schooled up to university. I have about 5 who are teachers today, teachers employed by the TSC, who come back here and come and give me 1,500. Wakiniambia mzai, you did this to me. When I see that, it gives me a lot of fulfillment. There's this particular boy whom I met way back in the year 2007. He's now he's a presenter. He has a program called Wirekererie. This is in one of the TV stations, or in Kikuyu TV stations. He's the one who does the program. When I look at him the way he was and who he is today, he calls me Daddy. When I hear the word Daddy and I see him on screens, that gives me a lot of fulfillment. When I see these boys from the streets who have been abusing drugs, stopping drug abuse, they realize, they discover, let me use the word discover themselves, and now see themselves in a different dimension. And then when they hear my story, they change their thinking. I just feel so fulfilled. I have so many boys who have gone to university. I have so many boys who are in Form 4, so many boys who have gone to school, so many boys who are doing good. Some are even driving, some have built their houses, some have gone back to their villages and started doing projects, and some have become compassionate boys going back and reaching out. So we are kind of working together with them. And when I see all that, I see a lot of potential. I see a lot of hope, because the only thing that we can do on this earth is to lift people up. And that's, to me, that has become success. And that's the legacy I would want to see, because it's not about the match, it's about the little. And this little is brought by the love that we show to one another. I would probably want to discourage people who are in the cities to stop giving handouts to the families in the streets. Why don't they do something like adoption, or probably get this family and do something constructive to them? Because giving somebody a fish is one thing, but showing somebody to fish is another thing. So we have encouraged people to be in the streets by, when you go to the streets, you give them food, you buy them food, instead of asking this boy, what is your problem? How can I do it? How can I help you? That is one challenge. That is one area we need to really look at as Kenyans. And also, if you are out there watching, you can call, you can come, you can visit, and also you can call the KTN. Now that you are here on the ground, you can call the KTN, and then when the KTN gets this, they can be able to channel their support to us. And by the way, support is not money. You can bring your foods, you can bring your clothes, you can come and talk to them, because I really encourage this one-on-one mentorship, whereby you come, sit down with one boy, listen to his story, then if you are able to support this boy for education, you do it. This is what I tell people. You become a pipe of passing water. You shall never be dry. You shall always be wet. But the moment you clog that pipe, this water will definitely become contaminated. But if you allow this water to flow, you will ever. So you've been given $1 million to give it out. Not to give it all of it, but to keep on giving. More millions are coming. If it's genuine money, more money is coming. If you're given many clothes, you can only wear one pair of clothes. If it's shoes, one pair of shoes. If you have 5 cars, why do you need 5 cars? You only need one, because you can only drive one car. Maybe you can donate one. And that is how you'll be able to touch a life. Let's be a brother's keeper. And the moment we become a brother's keeper, we live a better world, like the late Michael Jackson said, because you've been blessed to be a blessing. My bigger goal is to first to set up a vocational training, whereby when I get these young men, most of them, and especially some who are here, are very talented. Some are good MCs. If Churchill came here, he has competition. I'm telling you the truth, he has competition. Look at MC Jesse. When I was working with him, nobody could see, who could tell how MC Jesse is. No, look at him now, Churchill Raw. When you look at some of the boys who are here, they are very good MCs. They are very good in speaking, public speaking. So if I get such people coming on board to train them, to teach them, they are excellent. So that is one area I would want to venture in setting up a talent academy, a vocational training whereby you can train them in welding, masonry, plumbing, hairdressing, driving. Those are some of the areas I would want to do. Again, it's not about taking the boys and keeping them here. It's sending them back to the community and empowering them financially to be able to lift others up, so that we don't only keep on pushing people going to the streets. We look of ways of eradicating the street families, because they are increasing. And because they're increasing, we need to come up with measures. And if somebody like me is given the resources, I'll be able, in the small way I can, pulling people who are in the same industry like me together and be able to see how we can definitely pull others. And you see, when you lift somebody up, it becomes success. And then you teach him how to pull others up. It is easier for this person to go back and lift another person. And it becomes easier. And also setting up a permanent place, because this place we are in is a rental. Everybody wants a permanent place. We also have a DJ machine, a DJ class, a talent academy of DJing, whereby we are training the current boys on DJing, sound movement, how to work on our small camera that we have. And as time goes on, we have grown from 3 boys to over 150. So we are very soon going to overshadow the ones who are working today, very soon.